I appreciate the comments from my colleague, Mr. Kind, and I support his efforts in this resolution, along with Mr. Schweikert and everybody involved. So thank you for your leadership on that. I think in your previous comments about what Trump's doing, our president, and what we're trying to do here, I don't think it's an either or. I think it's both. And I think the president, we haven't seen a politician, a political leader, take on China like has been necessitated to get them to the table. We're looking at $200 billion in purchase of American products, $80 billion to $100 billion in ag. That's almost twice what they've purchased before. I'm more interested in the structural reforms. I hope we can make some headway there. I think it's both. I think it's both. And I applaud the president for having the political courage to withstand the lobbying that the incoming from a lot of interest around the country. And it's real pain that is being felt. And I can attest to that, especially with respect to my farmers in West Texas. And they cannot sustain this for too long. So I hope we can hit reset in the near future and get on down the road, so to speak. But with respect to WTO, that's the next big thing to tackle. It's a necessary mechanism if you're going to have rules-based trading system to promote free and fair trade around the globe. We have to have a rulemaking, enforcement, and adjudicating body, and this current setup is wholly insufficient. And it's fundamentally broken in areas that you call out, Mr. Kind, in a very articulate way in the resolution. And I read it with great interest. I won't go through all the statements, but I just wholeheartedly agree with the various points you make and the places to reform, big ones being make sure in a rules-based system that the rules are fair and that they apply to all in a fair and equitable way, that they promote free trade and that they're relevant and current, that the dispute resolution process, as you mentioned, Mr. Kind, is transparent, it's efficient, it's well-functioning. That's not happening to date. And then the last, and maybe the most sinister in my mind, of problems and needs for reform within that body of WTO is this ability to self-identify as a developing nation when you're one of the largest, fastest growing, most sophisticated economies. Mainly, I'm speaking of China. And it's unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable, that China has been gaming us and others and hiding behind the WTO unfair advantage with respect to declaring yourself as a developing country. Here's some statistics just to wrap up my remarks. But first is the fact that when China joined the WTO in 2001, since then, the United States has shipped more than 3.4 million jobs overseas and shuttered 70,000 American factories. Maybe not all of that is on account of China, but a whole lot of it is. China is now the world's largest subsidizer in terms of agriculture. It's real hard for my dirt farmers in West Texas to compete with state-owned enterprise farming. Beijing provided an estimated $212 billion in farm subsidies in 2016. European Union, $100 billion. The United States, $33 billion. Subsidies now make up a significant portion of earnings for Chinese farmers, accounting for 38% of their revenue for wheat, 29% for corn, 32% for rice. By comparison, U.S. subsidies constitute 8% of U.S. farm earnings for wheat, 4% for corn, 2% for rice. It is an unfair playing field, and it is distorting markets, it's suppressing prices, and it is doing a number on the American farmer. And we need to tackle these issues in a serious and vigorous way. And Mr. Kind, I commend you for your leadership, and Mr. Schweikert, and I'm behind you 100%, and I want to come alongside you and join that effort.